One Piece chapter 1117 is here, and there are so many amazing panels. I wanted to say spreads, but some of them are small panels that are just fantastic that I'm excited to talk to you about. How many chapters do you think we have left in this arc? Because we were talking about this in I do the live streams, the reading the chapter on my Patreon. We were talking about this on my Patreon, and some people were throwing out, like, by the end of July, we'll be done with Egghead. And as I was rereading this chapter, preparing to actually do the video, I kind of feel like that's true. Not necessarily by the end of July, maybe the end of, like, August, but it feels like we are shockingly, like, startlingly close to the end. So place your bets now. I would love to see what the general consensus, what people are thinking it is. Do you think that we are that close, that we're going to be done before the end of this year? Or do you think that Oda's going to drag it out like a whole lot longer? I will say that while the last several chapters have been the big information, the big news is at the very end of the chapter, and the rest is like build up to that. And this last chapter is what I think we all kind of expected, which was at the very last moment when we were finally going to get some big information that we didn't already have. The feed cuts out. I will say, reading it all together, because today I went back and I reread at least 10 chapters, I think, just all back to back to back, and reading it all together, it's a pretty extraordinary story. The entrance of the five elders coming in and absolutely dominating. It looked like we were doing great, and then they showed up and leveled the place. Having their intimidating force of Saturn coming over the hill, Ethan just cutting through. Why do I call him Ethan? Why don't I call him by his planetary name like I do for Saturn? Maybe because Ethan is a funny name to give such a demonic force. He's Venus. Venus just cutting through his foes. Luffy trying to attack them and it not actually working. He's actually getting hurt when he tries to attack them. The buildup, the ominous feeling, the feeling of dread that Oda built into all this as this message of worldwide dread is being delivered. We're sinking. The world as we know it is not what it once was. All this information has been kept from you. Vegapunk really wrestling with the morality of what he's learned. He says, I have the information. I have some of this information that is from the Poneglyphs. I know pieces of this Void Century, and I'm burdened by what I've learned. All at the same time, the Iron Giant is being hunted down by the Elders. Like, all of this, when you read it all in close succession, it is a pretty extraordinary tale. So I just want to throw that out there. Anyway, let's get into this actual content of this chapter. But first, a shout out to today's sponsor, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs creates each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. I've been using Factor for months and I love their meals. They make it so easy to eat well and delicious with so little effort. And when I tell you, they never miss. Their meals are always so delicious, so full of flavor, and you can pop it in the microwave, have it done in 2 minutes, or in the oven, have it done in 7. I'm not interrupting my workflow, and I get a delicious, nutritious meal with so little effort. And Factor is tailored to fit your schedule. You can customize your weekly meals with the flexibility to get as much or as little as you need. You can pause or reschedule your deliveries to suit your lifestyle. I'm so bad about not wanting to pause work and make myself a proper meal, so I go to very, very simple solutions a lot of the time, and Factor makes it possible for me to still have that quick meal while not compromising that delicious flavor or the nutrition that I really need to get me through the day. They make it a lot easier for me to meet my goals without having to interrupt my day. So head over to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code MurphyNapier50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code MurphyNapier50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you for checking them out. On to the video. See that? I pulled a Vegapunk on you. All right, let's talk about the chapter. So, first of all, happy to see Jin and Don Krieg and what's his name? I don't know. I don't really like him. Anyway, they're here. Happy to see them. They seem to be doing great with their lives. Oh, I left my coffee upstairs. Ha! The irony. Hang on, I'm gonna go get my coffee. This panel of the mermaids underwater, gorgeous panel with the sea beasts and the hidden the things underwater. Gorgeous panel. And as we're checking in with people all around the world, why not also check in with our boys from Jaya, reminding us that yes, in fact, there are divers that could potentially find these things. I do find this interesting when we switch to GS General Hospital. Tell me if I'm reading this wrong, but it says, "Are you all right, Koby?" And then the next thing that said is, so he's saying that the One Piece is... It's sure a lot to take in, huh? So is the implication here that with them realizing that, let's see, there's buried treasure on the seafloor all over the world. Don't be stupid, you think the whole world is a city of gold. It's 200 meters down, and then the sword members take from it that the One Piece is... So is this Oda confirming that the One Piece, like the entrance to the One Piece, that Laugh Tale truly is underwater, which I know is something that we've been talking about for a long time. Is this Oda actually saying like, yeah, that's where it is. That's where you'll find it. It's gonna be underwater. I do sincerely appreciate Koby saying, this is too much information. I need to write this down because there's no way I'm taking all this in. Because same friendo, that's actually the reason I went back and reread all these chapters, because I was like, I just need to read all of Vegapunk's message in one go to find some cohesiveness to all that he's saying and like figure out the pattern of how he's delivering this information. Anyway, Koby says, it appears to be leading us to a pretty dangerous conclusion. Don't you think, Prince? Prince says, I sure do. Seems like an answer that shouldn't be. And then what's her face? I don't know her name. Says, then that's where we step in. So pretty excited about the implications here. Sword seems like they're going to be participating in stuff coming up, which I'm all for. And then we see Drake just like chilling, pulling a dragon. And Smoker in the background driving his motorcycle while crossing his arms. Very dangerous. And hauling something behind him. It seems as if he picked something up from the hospital. And it has a big X on it, reminiscent of Diaz Drake's scar, eh? So I feel like Smoker just had a meeting with Drake, and Drake delivered something to Smoker that now Smoker is taking somewhere. Isn't that astute of me? Look at me like theorizing. Oh, she has such great ideas. I don't know. He's taking something somewhere. But it seems... Quiet, please. It seems like it's from Drake. So I think Smoker and Drake are kind of covertly working on something, because they said that Drake wanted to be left alone. And then we cut to Drake, and Smoker seems to have possibly just left Drake. So I think the crew, the rest of Sword, doesn't know what Drake just passed off to Smoker. That's a lot of reading between the lines, though. I know this information is coming in bits and pieces, you think? But if I were to say more, it would be speculation. Forgot to turn my lamp on. But if I were to say more, it would steal Robin's thunder. So the Straw Hats are rushing to get out of there. They're on the Sunny. They're waiting for their last crew members to show up. Their last crew members are trying to show up, but instead they run into a giant skeletal horse demon. So I want to remind you that this just happened a few chapters ago. Ethan cut through Egghead, and skeletal horse demon cut through Egghead, cut through the lava phase, and it destroyed the place. It upset everyone in there. So if he had successfully actually gotten to the Sunny, if he had successfully landed this blow that he was trying to do, he could have killed the Straw Hats, he could have destroyed the ship, and ruined their exit off this island. So really, Zoro and Jinbei just kind of saved the arc. Like, he saved their exit route. by Jinbei chucking Zoro at Venus. Now, first of all, I love this because this is such a great, I don't know, it's so Jinbei that he is just like this tired dad. I know Frankie is considered the dad of the group by a lot of people, but he's just like this tired guy that's just like, okay, let me collect my little stragglers, like when they fell into the ocean, and he's like, okay, well, I'll go in and I'll get the little devil fruit users. It's what he did for Zoro, who was, what did Sanji call him? He's a liability. That's so rude. So he collects Zoro, the liability, drags him out here, and then they see that the Straw Hats are about to be attacked. So he just flings the guy. Zoro and Ethan hit, and then when they launch apart, Jinbei grabs him and keeps him from, falling and getting hurt. I absolutely love this for Jinbei. This is why way back when he was being utilized more, he was my favorite Straw Hat, or one of my top Straw Hats. Lately, we don't see so much of him, but every time he does get a moment, I'm reminded why I love him so much. So anyway, this clash between Venus and Zoro is what my artist decided to depict this week. She was unable to spend as much time on this art piece as normal and was very apologetic, and I just think that we need to show her some love in the comments, because if this is your low effort work T-Scene, you are even more astounding than I thought. I know I say it a lot, but I am just stunned by her work in perspective, the way she can take a scene and show it to us from a new angle with her unique art style and just allow it to have its own unique impact told by her. Oh my goodness, it's brilliant. I also find this scene really interesting because as far as I can tell, the way these voice bubbles seem to be going is they're indicating that both of them are speaking at the same time. So Zoro and Venus at the same time said, Kotetsu? So it seems like they're both at the same time realizing that the other has a Kotetsu sword. Am I reading that wrong? So I'm really curious how Oda's going to circle back to this, because I'm really curious how they're going to respond now that they know this about each other. I do love the detail, as Sanji has been such a great communicator throughout this arc. He's been kind of the one strategizing and organizing everyone, trying to get everybody back together so that they can sail off into safety, so that they can get out of here. Here he is trying to communicate with everybody, trying to figure out where Jinbei and Zoro are, trying to get contact with Luffy. He's lost contact with Luffy, and so Luffy just starts screaming across the island, I'm almost there! Get the ship moving! And Sanji's just like, he's just gonna yell really loud. I do appreciate that even though this arc is so big, it's so broad, it's covering so much, Oda is making a concerted effort to have good character scenes tucked in throughout these chapters. One of the several big panels that I love so much is right here when we see the giants storming the ships, just breaking them, joyfully causing chaos. It's such a beautiful panel, and I love the joy that the giants carry, especially because Sun God Nika is a hugely significant figure to them. So the fact that they kind of carry his disposition is really fun. Doll also was amazing in this chapter. I love seeing the giants and the navy fight each other, really showing these two big forces that I assume will be big forces in Elbaf in the final war. Throughout the rest of this series, throughout the ending, I expect they're both going to be major forces. Seeing them on the smaller scale go head to head is really satisfying to me. So the boar is no longer chasing them, which seems like good news, except that the reason that's happening is because all 5 of the elders have descended on the Iron Giant after York gave them the tip-off. This is another one of those panels that I just absolutely adore in this chapter. The looming demonic forces that are charging in on the Iron Giant, displaying that they're on their way, that here they come, descending on the thing that's holding the transmission that needs to be heard. And the fact that they recognize the Iron Giant that attacked Mary Joa 200 years ago, I think we can potentially pull a lot from that. Like, are the 5 elders 200 years old? I don't think that they're probably 900 years old or 800 years. I don't think that they were alive during the Void Century, but if they are recognizing the Iron Giant based off of experience and not based off of just like our leader told us about this giant robot that had a Viking helmet on, oh, and there it is, so that's got to be it. I'm sure of it. That's what Emu described to us. If they're actually recognizing him because recognizing the Iron Giant because they've seen it before, then that should tell us a decent amount. Like that they're probably not human. It's not like we've never seen humans that are this age. How old's Cruina? Okay, so her name is Crueja, and she is 141 years old. So not even even she, who is recognized by her age, by how old she is not as old as the elders would be, which again, I don't know. I just think that they're real demons. I just think that they're real yokai and not eating yokai fruit. But maybe they just have intel and they're reporting on their intel. Hey, that's the guy that we were told about. For sure, for sure, for sure. Which certainly is possible. I mean, it's a very unique looking robot, so they may not have known. But they recognize that that is the robot, the Iron Giant that attacked Mary Joa 200 years ago, and then they don't really say anything else. They don't talk about he was a part of Joy Boy's crew, or he was connected to this, or he did X while he was there. They just identify him and then go in. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that they recognize him by experience or by intel? I will say this. Even though the Iron Giant is not in his prime, we'll say, he's been disengaged for 200 years and just sitting there possibly resting for 200 years. Also, he is damaged. You know, his horn's broken off. He had that spear going through him. He's been attacked before, so he's not the Iron Giant isn't at its strongest. So the fact that maybe it can be taken down easier today than it could have been 200 years ago should be noted. But even with that said, if the elders are speaking from experience and not intel, it is a little bit suspect to me that the Iron Giant was taken down with such ease. One hit from Boar Demon and the transmission is cut. He's down, he's looking damaged. I don't think he's down forever, but it's not looking pretty. If they were there last time, then you could speculate that they were the ones that took the Iron Giant out last time too. But if they did it this easily last time too, then why not just destroy it last time? Why leave it there to just sit and potentially be reawakened? I have many questions. I have many things that I would like to think on for a little while longer. What are your thoughts? Anyway, lastly, I have one final message to impart to those scattered throughout the world who bear the name of D. Within you, there is a... That wasn't a flat line. It wasn't a like what we got with Vegapunk when he was taken down by an elder. Nope, that was by his friend. There's still beeping happening, which I think is an indication that the Iron Giant isn't down and out. But shockingly, to all of our surprise, unbelievable One Piece twist, the message was cut off before we actually got the information that Robin is destined to be the one to give us. It's unsurprising. It's annoying, but it's unsurprising. Now, as far as what he's actually saying here, to those scattered throughout the world who bear the name of D, within you there is a. So my first instinct to this is it has to make sense according to the audience Vegapunk is speaking to. Up to this point, they haven't known anything that we already, that is familiar to us. They don't know, or they didn't know about the Void Century. They didn't know that there even was someone named Joy Boy. They didn't know that most of them didn't know anything about a sun god Nika. So all of this is brand new information to them. So for him to reference something that we know about, to say, among you there is a reborn sun god Nika, or not reborn, but you know what I mean. That wouldn't really mean that much to these people. So it has to be something relevant to them. So among you there is, my first instinct was, among you there is a person who will save you, because Vegapunk just delivered a lot of really bad news. Your world is sinking, you're in the middle of a war you weren't made privy to, people in your backyard are being exterminated by your government that's supposed to be protecting you. These things are all really this bad news, lots of bad news. So Vegapunk saying, but among you there is a person who can save you was my first instinct. But then as I reread everything all together, I realized, no, that's obviously not what he's saying, because he's not talking to the world anymore. He delivered his news to the world. It was all bad news. That's all you get. You're sad. Shucks for you. Now for you other people in the back. Everyone carrying the name of D. I'm talking to you now. Forget everybody else that's crying about the fact that they're probably going to die. I'm talking to you guys, the ones that are the enemy of the world government, but you don't really know it because the whole D thing is kind of under wraps. Among you, there is a. So I really like the idea of the rest of that sentence being, among you, there is a traitor. And specifically, I like that answer because we did the whodunit in this arc with the Vegapunk, like who's the traitor among us? Who's the one who's betrayed us all? So I really like the idea of, in the same arc, after we've resolved the Vegapunk who's the traitor, now we have there's a traitor among you as well, Clan of D. However, that's not super satisfying to the reader because the obvious answer is Blackbeard, who we already know is opposed to Luffy and probably will continue to be throughout the rest of this final saga. So it would have to mean among you there is an additional traitor that the readers don't already know about. So while I like that for the sake of the parallels that have already happened in the arc, I don't think it's probably that. We know that even just mentioning the fact that Lily was a D carrier was enough to just set Imu off. So the fact that Vegapunk was about to reveal something about the people of the D, and that he learned that through the poneglyphs, has to mean that it had to do with the Void Century, that it had to do with something that was meant to be erased by history. So I wonder if it's not about a person, but about something that's within them all. Like within you, there is something that will help you to fight, to push back against the world government, because we already know that the holders of the will of D are the people who are set against the gods of the world government, the celestial dragons, the five elders, Imu. We know that they are those that are destined to oppose. And so I wonder if what Vegapunk has learned through the knowledge that he has of the poneglyphs and of the information that Ohara got is that within the holders of the will of D, there is something innately within them that is a natural opposition to the world government. What that is, I don't know. And it could be done in a really cheesy way. It could be like, there's this inner superpower that now that you know about it, just believe in it and it'll manifest and now you're super great powerful. Like, it could be done really cheesy. I trust Oda enough to think that if he is going to go down this route, it won't be. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards now, that the answer isn't those who bear the name of D, within you there is a person, but rather within you there is a thing that is a weakness to or an opposition to, a natural enemy of the forces that are causing all this damage to the world. But what do I know? Let's talk about York. York falling to her knees, just so relieved it's finally stopped, is so annoying to me. I'm so mad at York right now. I don't want you to be relieved. I want you to be, you know what? I want you to be relieved for 2 seconds. I want you to be relieved. Oh, it finally stopped. I get to be a celestial dragon. I get what I wanted. I'm not going to be killed by these demonic creatures that I've allied with, that I've betrayed my very own selves for. Everything's great. And then the Iron Giant gets back up. And then the message is completed. And then York is beheaded. So that was the chapter. What did you think of it? So yes, it is another chapter where we get little bits of information, little bits of reveals, and then another cliffhanger. But really, really phenomenal panels, and I don't know, I'm still having a good time. What did you think? What are your theories? What are your thoughts on this chapter? I would love to hear it. I'll see you again soon. Bye.